Okay, right. We move on to question 3. The core strategy allows local service providers to reconfigure existing provision where needed in accordance with a published strategy, and we've been working on the detail of the core strategy, and certainly what we're looking at is the strategy would need to be agreed by the local strategic partnership. The local strategic partnerships are really coming together of local service providers, so it includes the council, it includes Metropolitan Police, Westminster NHS, voluntary sector organisations, and those types of groups. And so it's anybody really who provides local services. So what it allows for is that where those local service providers have an estate, they want to reconfigure it. So, for instance, they might want to co-locate the NHS and some council services and some policing services and some youth services, for example, all on one site. Then they publish a strategy, they have it agreed by the partnership, and then we would say that's justification for changes in social and community facilities. And also what needs to happen is there needs to be an explicit recognition of any net loss of social and community floor space that would result from that overall strategy. One of the things we are concerned about is whether or not there should be some additional criteria applied to that. And some of the things that we may be concerned about is, for example, where those facilities might go outside the Westminster boundary. Because obviously not all the service providers don't all operate to exactly the same boundaries, and any other criteria that you think should be applied to that principle of losing social and community facilities or changing the arrangement of social and community buildings across Westminster, and any circumstances where you feel this may be an inappropriate approach. That the strategy of these organisations might not deliver appropriate social and community facilities. I hope that's understandable as a question. I've worded it slightly differently to how it's written, just to make it hopefully more understandable. But yes.
Yes, thank you. And I wondered if you could give us an example. I think I can give you an example. I've heard a rumour that the St John's Wood police station is likely to be sold.
I think if that's the case, I wouldn't know, but that would be an example that police could put forward their entire estate strategy for rearranging their accommodation. It would go to the local strategic partnership, so all of those other organisations could consider it, and if it's agreed, then we would accept the principle of what that contains. I don't know if you have any comments on whether that's appropriate or otherwise, or whether there are any criteria.
The local people will be furious, but.
I think questions 3 and 4 seem to be in conflict with each other. Am I right? Because I'm thinking of the NHS Westminster in St John's Wood, for example, which has consolidated its general practice into St John and Elizabeth, and therefore would want to relinquish the GP surgery. So number 4, which is protecting, for example, GP surgeries, is in conflict with that. I mean, I would certainly want that to facilitate that consolidation.
Okay, even at the expense of the loss of small, in order to provide a service on one location in accordance with the overall strategy.
If NHS Westminster would obviously be making the case that by putting all that a number of smaller units onto one together, they would deliver a better service. And I would actually also point out that, I mean, if the service were to be re-provided, for example, childcare service just across the border, and the case was made that it would be serving the same population because users of childcare facilities would want something, would be happily, if it's within pram chair pushing distance or whatever, we would again want to enable that to happen if they were going to deliver a better service by moving.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
All right. I'm not. I don't fully understand the question, but I'd be concerned. I had one in my area where it was a form of a hostile use. They gave help to, I think it was drug users or something, and they wanted to consolidate their operations in another area, which seemed to make sense. But they wanted to be able to sell the property that they were existing in for residential, luxury residential use, because it was going to bring them a greater return. And they tried to show that no one else wanted the site, and it was only thanks to our efforts to get the council to go out to a wider audience that they found a social service use to occupy that the present building. So we had the best of both worlds. That one person moved out and consolidated their services elsewhere, but the council blocked the residential use, luxury residential, to enable another form of hostel, the DePaul's Trust, to occupy and refurbish that building. So I'd be unhappy if by moving away, the first opportunity for that site wasn't to allow a similar or a social use to be on it, which could be even a private use. I mean, there could be a private school use that could go into a site where another school's gone, but it would still bring benefit to the community.